Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Meditation Matters. I'm your host, Nayashelle, and I'm here with a lovely guest, Kawan Glover. He will be my second interview on the series of the power of vulnerability, really exploring just what vulnerability is, what it means, and what role that it's played in our lives to kind of continue us down our life journey. So I will go ahead and allow him to further introduce himself. You can talk about anything that you like. You can restate your name and go from there.
Okay, like now I said, my name is Kawan Glover, and when she came to me with this subject, I was just like, wow, because this whole year I've been exploring what vulnerability actually means. And it, in a nutshell, allows me to be who I am, allows me to do what I do, because it kind of brings together so many subject matters in my life, and it allows me to really fully express myself and absorb the things that have happened to me, which we'll talk about further in the interview. But I think vulnerability is so important to kind of evolve to your true self, because without vulnerability you're hiding things and you are not allowing yourself to just exist.
I agree. It's like you're hiding not only from everyone else but from yourself, and to hide from yourself is like how will you ever discover your true path, your true self, your true anything, as you mentioned? I mean, like, vulnerability, as you mentioned, has really changed my life. I mean, we were just briefly, before starting this video, we talking about how 2018 has just been such a massive year of suffering and transformation, but all of it to be super, super grateful for, especially for what will come and what 2018 has prepared us for in 2019 as we're making this shift. So this is like the best time you would be recording this episode right now.
Absolutely.
Oh man. All right, cool. So my first question is, can you talk about any major events that happened, whether or not it be in your past? I know that you've been through a couple of traumatic events with all the different brain surgeries you've been through. Can you talk about how that journey has impacted you and how it's really encouraged you to begin to explore what it means to be vulnerable, especially about your story?
I can touch on a number of different events, and I can talk on a number of different realizations I've had from those events. I guess the most notable is the brain surgeries, is the stroke for me. I've had 3 brain surgeries since 2014. I've had a stroke. And I think there was a point in between those where I'm like, yeah, I'm over it, I'm done with this, I'm good. And then it would happen again. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm over it, I'm done with this, I'm good. And then it happened again. And I was like, yeah, I'm over this, I'm done with it, I'm good. And then there was a point where it stopped happening. Okay. Yeah. And I was cured of it. And then I was like, I don't know what to do now. Because for so long I've been like, fight, recover, and then get ready for the next fight. And fight, recover, and get ready for the next one. Fight, recover, and get ready. And then it's like being in war with PTSD. You come back, try to be a regular citizen, and it's like nobody's shooting at me.
Yeah.
So for me, I think I had to develop self-confidence in myself. And when I say confidence, when you break down the word, con comes from, I'm not sure what language, but con means with. Okay. And fidelity comes from fidelity. So it's with truth in yourself. And I had to develop that self-trust. Could I operate in that same space that I did before while also accepting what is? Right. And I think I started to resist that and say, oh yeah, I'm done, I'm over, and I'm so happy for myself, and I wasn't.
Wow. Yeah.
So that's when I had to really lean into vulnerability, and that was a intense journey, to say the least.
So first question, do you think that you began to identify with the fight that you were going through, of identifying with having to gear up to fight what you were fighting, or to gear up for the possibility of having another stroke, or to gear up to okay, I gotta make through this another bout of anesthesia, you know what I mean? Do you think that you kind of began to identify with fighting?
Yeah, definitely, because that became who I was. I feel like all I was built for was to fight something, was to combat something, was to be against something else. It's a me versus that situation kind of thing. And it's like, a lot of people don't realize the hardest part of living is living.
It is.
So,
oh man.
when I had to just go and live again, I'm like, I have to make decisions for the future. I have to do stuff. I don't have to lay in a hospital bed and let people hit me or work on myself. Like, once my body was back to operational state, I was like, oh crap.
Right.
I have to do stuff.
Right.
I have to go back to living normally. And it was very strange. It was like I was looking for the next fight. And I remember when I got home and I started operating myself, I'm like, alright, so I give it about 2 years and I'll be back fighting. And then my doctor was like, it's all gone.
Amazing.
And I was like, part of me was like, yeah, great, awesome.
Right.
And I was like,
well, what do I do now? Like,
so
who am I?
I mean, I have to go start my career. I have to like live again. I think I broke down like a month ago, and I was just like,
yeah,
what do I do now?
Right.
And I think vulnerability came in when I started leaning into it and understand vulnerability is not weakness.
Mm-hmm.
It's not crying about everything that happens to you. It's, hey, I'm not good at drawing, but I can lean into that without being self-deprecating.
Right.
That's not my skill set. So it's about self-awareness.
Yes.
Like, if you're not an artist, it's okay.
Yes.
You might be good at something else. A lot of people are scared to be vulnerable because they're not ready to put them full selves out there.
Yes.
So, vulnerability is, to me, is courage.
I agree.
You may be fearful, you may see danger, but you still run face forward into whatever you face. Like, I had a lot of body image issues. I always been a smaller guy, so like, even though I go to the gym, I would just look at myself and just, the negative talk was starting, and I'd be like, but I'm able to share it with people, and that's vulnerability. And I gain strength from that. You know, I think I started this whole routine where I look in the mirror now every morning and say what I'm feeling, and that I love myself, that I love you, I love the person I'm looking at.
Yeah.
And it just, your mind starts at, what he's saying this, so I guess at some point you're gonna mean it. And that's just what I do. And vulnerability has been such a powerful tool that people don't realize.
What you're talking on is actually neuroplasticity, and I briefly touched on that topic in, I don't remember what episode it was. But basically what you're doing is, if you imagine your brain to be a map, you have your old, lanes or roads that you would take that would be self-deprecating or really aggressive to yourself, right? But you instead created new roads of like, I love myself, it's okay that I'm feeling sad right now, or like, but everything's gonna be fine. Now you continue like shooting your neurons down these new paths, and that's what neuroplasticity is. You're creating new paths, and the old ones, because you're not shooting neurons down them anymore, they begin to just dissipate and just fade back. Basically, they no longer exist.
Right.
So when creating these new pathways, your brain only knows how to go down these new pathways. So that's just even to show the power of your own will, and the power of your own thought, and the power of allowing yourself to literally look at yourself in the mirror and be like, I look great today. I am super confident, and just the I am affirmations, and just the power that has too. So that's actually really cool that you
learn something new every day. Neuroplasticity. I never heard the term before, but now I know it.
It's such a cool thing. If you ever have a chance, there's like a 2-minute video clip on YouTube that really explains it super well. Like, I just kind of jam-packed into a non-sciencey version, but it's a very super interesting thing.
Yeah, I've really been tapping into the reticular activating system. So like, if I want something, I start seeing it everywhere. And if I think about something, I start visualizing it, and then I start seeing it, start doing it without knowing. So I think that all ties into that neuroplasticity, because if you want something, it's not just gonna happen.
Exactly.
Like, you have to think about it, you have to live it, you have to visualize it, you have to feel it. Like, that's how you become successful. Creating those new pathways, creating those thoughts about, this is what because at some point, the universe has a way of just delaying it up, but you might not see it. But then, like, for me, when bad things happen now, it's kind of like, my first thought is not, damn, that happened. It's, what is this going to lead to? Why did this happen? What down the line could this lead to? It's almost like I'm playing a game with myself. Like, when you think about rich people, they don't ever ask, how much does this cost? Well, I can't afford it. They say, how can I afford it? So, to have a better life, have better questions. Your mind has only one choice to answer the question you're asking. And if you ask a terrible question, you get a terrible answer.
I mean, that's like putting I was listening to a documentary recently, and they were talking about changing your no's and your can'ts, and anything that does with the starts with the N-O, like nots and do not, all that. Changing that to phrase it a different way. Don't say cannot. Don't say no, because the universe, like, even if we're saying that I don't want this to happen, but the universe is like, okay, so you want this to happen? Because you keep saying that you don't want it to happen, but the universe is not discerning between the negative and like that negative no and that positive yes, I want this to happen. It's just kind of like you keep putting into your mind like, I don't want this to happen, I don't want this to happen, I don't want this to happen, but I want this to happen. But now the universe is kind of confused. They're like, okay, wait, so you want this to happen, but you don't want it to happen. And so because you're putting your mind towards what you don't want to happen so much, it's gonna probably happen because you keep talking about what you don't want to happen. So if you say, I don't want to fail, I don't want to fail, I don't want to fail, typically we would see that as, oh, that's willpower for us not to fail and for us to put a lot of will towards it. But if we keep focusing on the fact that we don't want to fail, and instead of just focusing on the journey that we'll experience some failure and some suffering, but will always lead to success. We reframe the way that we talk about anything that doesn't go right. It's like, if something doesn't go right, we say, oh, that didn't go right. But as you mentioned, let's ask yourself some questions. Why didn't it go right? Maybe how could this impact my future? What can I do to go back to learn how to make this better so that it can go well the next time? And don't attach feelings and expectations to it. Like, just really try your best to do the best that you can. And instead of saying I don't want to fail, saying I will succeed, I am succeeding. And no matter whether or not it goes your way or not, you are constantly succeeding. Like, that's the way to reframe your mind, to get rid of that nose and things like that. But that takes you diving into a realm of being vulnerable with yourself, to saying, I am okay with the possibility of this not going well the first time, but that's okay, because it is a journey, and no matter what, I am progressing and succeeding towards what it is that I'm trying to do. So, but that takes you being very vulnerable, raw, and real with yourself. So I don't know, I just wanted to tell you on that.
Yeah, I really relate to a lot of things you said. I've like, let's say you're a waiter, right? Mm-hmm. And you're carrying thousands of plates, I don't know. And a lot of times the first thoughts will come to your mind, don't drop it, don't drop
right.
it, don't drop it,
right.
don't drop it. And instead people should try to carry the plates successfully to the chair, exactly. Or like, carry these without...
And just having the confidence that you'll carry them.
Yeah, just like, I'm going to make this to the table. I'm going to make this to the table. A lot of times when people start falling in or leaning into vulnerability, they start using the law of attraction and things like, I'm going to go on the street and hit no red lights. I'm going to get all green lights. I'm going to get all green lights. But then it's like, okay, but what happens when we get a red light?
Are you going to be mad?
Like, did you fail? Like, no, you just got a red light.
Exactly.
So a lot of people have to realize, I feel like there's a stage of the vulnerability where you first start and you're all positive and you're not entertaining any negatives, and then there's the next stage where you're kind of like, yeah, I wanted to be all positive, but then maybe some negatives.
And what are you going to do when that happens? You can't then go regress into your state of beating yourself up about it, having a lot of negative self-talk. You have to continue forward, you know what I mean? Like, that's also like when I was talking about different journey, your healing journey overall, right? Like, it's not necessarily going to be like, I feel like some people think like, oh, I'm healing, this is great, it's going to be like a super smooth road, like this is awesome. But they're not realizing that all your days you're going to be super up, it's going to be super awesome. Days you're going to plummet all the way back down, maybe even crippling. And so it's like, what do you do during those days is what really matters. And trying your best to stay grateful during all of that, during your healing process, and being forgiving of yourself, of others, of whatever it is that you need to do, but just always being kind and gentle for yourself, and just bringing your attention and your awareness back to the fact that A, you're alive and well, and 2, it'll be okay. You know what I mean? Like, that's like, it's weird. I don't know. It's a...
Yeah, I feel like our generation has been pumped with this false sense of self-esteem, and that can counteract vulnerability. Because, like, you grew up and you're like, I'm awesome, I'm going to make it, but you haven't done anything. You haven't been punched in the life by mouth yet. Exactly. So when something does happen, it's like, but I'm awesome.
Right, and it's like, if you haven't either been taught how to figure out how to make it through a bad situation, or to figure it out on your own, given whatever life circumstances happen, and you're just sitting there at the bottom like, but this shouldn't be happening to me because I'm great. Like, what? Like, and at that point, you're not even, as you mentioned, allowing yourself to tap into, well, wait, why did this happen? Was I not paying attention enough? Did I overlook something? Was I being rude? I mean, like what is happening that, you know, I need to realize about myself in order to bounce back? You know what I mean? And then that's like that constant cycle of unlearning to then relearn, unbecoming to then become your true self, right? So,
right. I mean, when you break a bone and it heals wrong, you have to re-break it to fix it. So a lot of time I feel like we've had bones implanted in us that are just growing the wrong way, and I think a lot of people don't take the time to fix it. I mean, this self-esteem thing, it's like, it counteracts the self-awareness you need, because like you've been told from external places that you're this, so you're entitled to your opinion of yourself.
Right.
But then you're not self-aware because you don't realize, no, you're actually kind of like this. I'm awesome at everything. I mean, you're not really good at this math problem. It's not. You're not.
You're not good at it. And so I guess my next question for you would be, when you began to realize certain things about yourself that maybe you weren't good at, when you were coming to terms with your acceptance, or even dealing with your journey, how was it reaching out to people?
I think for me, when I always used to compare myself to how I was before the stroke and after. So I was generally athletic.
Okay.
So I tried to continue that, even if my body wasn't operating at that same capacity.
Right.
So when people would never tell me, hey, unless they were older, like my parents, or like I have mentors now, they'll tell me, your body doesn't work the same. But I had a bravado around me, like very like to men, I can be very aggressive, and to anybody I can be very blunt. When I started realizing, oh crap, I'm not the same person, my body doesn't operate that way. I think I get joy from inspiring, and I don't say motivating because that's an internal. That's an external force.
Right.
Inspiration is internal. I want you to see my journey, so it inspires you to follow your passion. I don't want to motivate you to do what I'm doing.
Exactly.
I want to inspire you to do what you're meant to do.
Exactly.
So when I started posting stuff on Instagram, I felt like some shape or form I was helping somebody realize that it's okay to lean into your self-image. It's okay to lean into your bouts with depression or anxiety. So I felt like I got some type of energy from that.
I agree.
But then there was a point where I had to step back and be like, I'm putting so much out. What am I pulling in? Okay, yeah. That's where I had to be vulnerable with myself. And I had to understand that it was stressful putting up those videos. I felt no way about posting pictures, but like I put so much time and energy, and I felt like I was dividing it into every other person. I had to be vulnerable with myself and be like, you know, it's really okay if you stop for a week. For sure. Like, you're not beholden, nobody's paying you, like, it's okay to stop. And I had to realize my body doesn't operate the same, so I don't have a lot of times the same mental capacity, and my stress levels skyrocketed. And that can really impact you. And that started a downward spiral. So towards the end of the year, it was like,
And what methods were you using to kind of help you through that downward spiral?
So definitely meditation. Like that is without question. Like I didn't meditate today, so no talk to me. Like that is super key.
I should use that as a quote. I didn't meditate, don't talk to me.
That should be on a t-shirt.
No, seriously.
Another thing I was doing is that I did this month is just set specific dates for the goals I have. Like, it wasn't just do this. It was do this on December 15th, 2018. You know what I'm saying? I started setting things that I could reach, small goals that were attainable. I started coming up with a daily routine. I think I take cold showers. That really... It wakes you up. Yeah, like, it's a shock to the body. But I found things that were mundane that kept me centered, like getting up and walking the same path. But I also did things differently because I wanted a different result. So instead of taking this path to the bathroom, maybe today I'll go around this way. Just small changes and things that can kind of, not getting into too mundane, but I also kept a lot of things the same. I started to change my diet, eliminating more dairy. There were a number of things, but I think the biggest is meditation. And I think coming up with the daily routine and the goals I set for myself, that was really key. Yeah. Getting back physically active also is good.
Yeah, that's I will admit that I'm not even physically active every day, but I try to do at least I'll try to do a 15-minute circuit, if anything, or just a couple push-ups, pull-ups, whatever. Actually, my little brother tried to, this is so random, my little brother tried to challenge me to a push-up competition yesterday after we opened up presents, and I was like, okay, sure. So I'm just going, steady pace, I can do probably 50 at one, whatever, and he's like, oh my God, wait, this is so hard. I'm just bro. He was like, no, fair. You're closer to the ground. And I'm like, dude, this is my body. You challenged me to a competition. But afterwards, it was interesting because I got up and I looked at him and I was like, do a couple push-ups. Let me see how you do them because you seem like you started struggling by the time you hit 25. Come on, bro. And so he's doing it and I began to realize that his body's undulating while he's doing push-ups. And I'm just like, wait. Hold on, bro. Let's take a moment. Let me show you how to do a proper push-up, and then let you try one. So it was interesting. It kind of turned from him trying to compete with me on a fun type of thing, to me trying to be like, hey, bro, can I help you out real quick? Because I know that you want to stay athletic, and you're struggling a lot, and let me help you not struggle. And if you're willing to listen to me, and so I can help you correct. So if you're willing to take a moment to be vulnerable and realizing that you're not doing this push-up well, and you're putting yourself through a lot of stress, then let me try to help you. And I feel that was an interesting reflective moment where he was like, please, thank you, please tell me how, because I realize now that you said that I'm not doing it right and I would like to know. He just unconsciously just kind of you know what, she's probably right, I'm not doing this right, let me take some time to listen to her. And so that's an interesting little day by day thing that
accepting your flaws is the biggest part of vulnerability. If I ran a business, I'm not doing the accounting, bookkeeping, the legal stuff, financial, people need to be in the right seats in their lives. And if you feel like you need to fill all those seats, you're not being realistic and you're not being vulnerable with yourself. In business, you have to understand you should hire someone. You didn't go to law school, so you should probably hire someone to do that. There are a number of things in life and relationships. Just because that's why chores are sometimes split between couples, because you're better at this stuff, I'm better at that stuff.
Exactly.
And that's a form of vulnerability, just acknowledging the fact that, hey, I'm not really good at cutting the grass, but maybe you are. Yeah. Or vice versa. You know what I'm saying? Dishes, I don't really enjoy them, I don't really do a good job. Maybe you can do it. Right.
Or some interesting form of trade-off or whatever. So another question regarding communication and the role that plays in. You were mentioning how you were posting sometimes, but when it comes to outside of the realm of social media and when you're just kind of your day-to-day life, whether or not it be your friends, your family, your significant other, when it comes to communication, when you're feeling down, what methods do you usually take outside of meditation to kind of help to voice some of the things you're going through, or does talk therapy even work for you? What
I'm a big proponent of talk therapy, with a professional. But you have to be vulnerable with yourself to maybe there's a select group of people that you talk to about what you're dealing with. I think for men in general, this can be very difficult if they go through a breakup or go through some hard at work or something like that. They just come home and grind about it and watch TV or sports. Whereas women, you guys have a powwow, you drink wine and you talk about it, you know what I'm saying? That is the more healthy way of getting over something. So I had to realize those old methods of not talking about it and just breathing about it and being angry and lifting weights and punch bag, it may not always be the most efficient to deal with. So communication, I had to figure out, how do I talk about what I feel? When you think about the conversations men and women have, a lot of times you see the stark difference between a man is typically more analytical, more logical, so it's I think this is right, I think we should do this. I think. When you talk about the conversation between mostly women, a lot of times they retort back, it's like, I feel this, or I feel this way, or they're constantly outwardly emoting through their words and through their action. So a lot of times with myself now, I try to replace that I think. They're almost, I feel like it's a defense mechanism for guys to keep it that box of masculinity, where they try to separate themselves from those emotions. So for me, with vulnerability, I try to lean into it. Like, what do I think this may be that's based on something else.
Mm-hmm.
But if you feel something, that's based on what's internal, what you actually feel. So when I'm debating anything, or I'm having a conversation with anybody, I try to lean to what I feel, because that's more natural and it's not based on any external forces, what comes from inside.
Yeah, the first thing I started thinking about was like an internal knowing, like that knowing that sometimes your mind tries to like break it down and like, oh, well maybe we know this because of this, and this. So right, we're already taking like an internal or intuitive thought or understanding and trying to use our minds, our analytical minds, to then be like, well, this is why this has clearly happened in this avenue because XYZ. And half the time our minds are, we are subject to society. We're subject to what we see, what we know, what we think we know, right? Actually, even on my drive here, I was just kind of saying to myself, like, what do you know? And I was like, well, I don't know anything, but I feel everything. Like, that's just such a difference. It's like, it was kind of crazy. Because when you feel everything, you do know everything, but you don't just know everything. And that...
It leads to a number of different things, guys. Like, thinking something is usually based on what you're programmed to think.
Mm-hmm.
Like, throughout your life, you've had external influences, society, you've had people in your class, people at your job that just constantly have given you these notions on their perception on based on what's happened to them. So you internalize that unbeknownst to you. So subconsciously, the things you think are not actually your thoughts.
Right.
So when you feel, it's like that is your true self. That is the second part of your brain, the oldest part of your brain, telling you, I don't have any logical basis for this, but this feels right.
Man.
This feels right.
See, I love that. I don't have the logical basis for this, but it feels right. And like, I don't know, would you say that we're like kind of like afraid of that thought, that entity that says like, dude, I don't know how to explain this to you, but this is the truth.
Yeah, I mean, in our society, again, if you say something that's not based on evidence, like if you're an attorney and you argue the case, and they're like, all right, what's the factual basis? I don't know. It feels right.
Right.
It's like,
but what? How can you make it?
How can you? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And your brain is like, can't process, and you start overlaying like, what? That you can't prove this to me. That doesn't exist. But I think the truest sense of self is like what you feel, what you feel externally, what you feel internally. Yeah. Those are the things you need to hone and focus on. Again, there are academic areas or scientific areas where you need logic and basis and things like that. But in your personal life, not everything is so cut and dry, cold and calculated. You need to feel something to be someone.
I agree. And I would say, like, even in my own personal deconstruction of, like, trying to step away from I think myself and trying to be a very, like, analytical person and trying to be this very rational person that's like is accepted by everyone, right? Like, it's been an interesting like battle and breakaway of the logical and allowing myself to fully step into the greater, the I guess the unnatural, which is completely natural, like the surreal, right? Like the divine essence, like those other realms that are actually all around us right now in this present moment. Like, even my friend said something, we were on our ride back from the meditation retreat, and she was like, yeah, like, you're talking about these other realms, but what is the other realm when all the realms are right here, right now? They're all connected. Maybe I can't see them all right now, but I know and I feel and they're here right now. And so just like, and I was like, well, my mind breaks it down while I break down every single realm into its individual compartments, and then I try to go in and analyze this compartment and come out in the next compartment. And so she was like, sure, that's a way to do it, but it becomes very complicated because, and so last night I took a step back from what she said, and I was like, yo, wait a minute, like, I'm like separating the inseparable.
That's powerful. Write that down.
In order to analyze it and use logic to understand its presence. I feel like that's the same thing with feelings, what you're talking about. And even allowing yourself the opportunity to be vulnerable enough to step into a space where you're saying, whoa, I think I'm trying to separate the inseparable. I'm really trying to break something down in such an analytical way that it's causing my own block within myself. Like, I can't tap deeper within my own self and tap deeper to my true self because I'm my own block. Because I'm trying to use logic and how I think in order to understand why this feeling or this knowing has happened to me, and I can't explain it.
And that's why meditation matters. I mean, think about thoughts.
Right.
When you're meditating, they just come up, and a lot of people think you're trying to stop or control their thoughts, and it's like, to me, it's like sitting on the side of a highway and thinking you're gonna stop the flow of traffic.
Right.
Like,
it's not going to happen.
You can focus, and sometimes you get focused on one car, or a couple of cars, but at some point, you just refocus and just watch all the traffic flow backward and forward. So, if you try to separate yourself from your thoughts, from your emotions, from how you feel, it's literally trying to separate that inseparable, like you just said. I mean, that is biologically, physically, spiritually impossible. They just exist. That is what they do.
And that's such a great thing, because a lot of times I hear, and I'm sure maybe you've come across it as well, people are like, well, I can't meditate because my mind is like going a mile a minute, so it's that highway. You just so gratefully use a metaphor for that, like, wow. But like, that's okay. And so when I come around people and they're like, well, I'm not sure how to meditate, or like, I've tried it and like it just didn't work out, and so I just kind of gave up. And I was like, oh, keep trying, because you're not here to like do that complete, like, stop everything, like you said. It's to just let it go and let it flow and to breathe. And eventually you become so focused on your breath and your internal processes that you're not even attached to every single thought that comes past. You're just kind of like, oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Okay. Oh, okay. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like, okay. like eventually you become that removed person on the side of the highway that isn't attached to one car, but just looking at the cars move. And some cars may catch your attention, like if it's like a cool like race car or something like that. You're like, oh, that's cool. But then eventually it's going to leave. And what are you going to do about that? You're going to go chase after the race car?
And a lot of people try to follow that race car down the highway with their eyes, and it's like, at some point, it's out of your range.
You're going to be safe.
And the thing about that is that a lot of people, sometimes they don't meditate, one, because they think they have to stop or control their thoughts, or they're afraid of what they might see within themselves. There are thoughts that come up and they're like, I can't process that.
Yeah.
I don't want to deal with that. So that's where you need to be vulnerable with yourself and know that these are thoughts that you have.
Right. Facts.
And nobody's listening but you. So why not embrace and try to understand, how does that thought serve me?
Right.
How does that thought benefit my life? How does that thought, where does it come from? Instead of, I don't want to think that. Because the minute you tell your mind, don't think about water bottles, don't think about water bottles, don't think about water bottles, I'm thinking about water bottles.
Exactly.
Because your mind doesn't process don't. So all your mind here is think about water bottles, think about water bottles, think about water bottles. So a lot of people, when I started the process, I didn't understand. I was just like, I'm supposed to not think, stare at candles. Like,
right.
But I think the societal representation, a lot of Buddhist monks and people just sitting for hours and hours, like thinking. I'm like, one, these people have trained for decades to do that, and they practice a different kind of meditation. So mindfulness is something I think that's more easily grasped with the common person.
Yes, and I mean, like, and just being mindful in your present moment. Like when I wrote that little excerpt, and I was just kind of like, what is meditation? And meditation is, that's what it is. It just is. Like, our right now, our present. Like, even I'm talking to you, but I'm literally thinking about each word that's about to come out of my mouth. Like, sometimes we talk, we're just like, blah, 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 blah. But like, I'm trying my best to be as mindful as possible in this present moment with you, speaking these words to you, and then also to the audience here. And so, like, what is mindfulness and what is a mindful meditation is just literally your daily life. And like allowing yourself to be mindful throughout the day and feel any type of emotional fluctuations or just whatever that may come and go throughout the day is 100% okay. And to try to like you said, swat it away or stop it from coming because you don't want to deal with something it doesn't serve you. Instead, it serves you more to take the time to say, okay, this makes me feel a little vulnerable, a little uneasy. Okay, cool. I'm glad I identified that it made me feel uneasy. Now I can accept that this person, this place, this thought, this thing makes me feel uneasy. So what do I do? What's the next step?
Yeah, and I've learned through different practices that when you think about meditation, like a person, and we talked about this earlier, when you're sitting there, you can hear everything that's going around you, but you're focused inwardly. So it's like relaxed alertness. And I think about, I watch a lot of Dragon Ball Z, and one of the things I've noticed about those people and professional athletes is that they train so much, everything is muscle memory.
Yes.
So let's say I started trying to play basketball. I have to think about dribbling. I have to think about shooting. Well, to them, it's muscle memory. Like your mind and body is so in sync that you don't have to think about it.
Exactly.
And that's the point of meditation, where you let your mind and body connect.
Exactly.
So you're able to do whatever you need to do. When you think about fighting, a lot of times people are not adept at it because they're thinking about, oh, what's my next punch? But if you think about the people on Dragon Ball Z, one of the things they say is your mind, that split second when your mind is thinking, you're slowing yourself down, making yourself vulnerable to being hit.
Yeah.
So it's about not controlling the mind, but letting your mind do what it does. And you just been watching. Like, I'm not a boxer, but if I was, I'm so trained in that. And that's what you use meditation for. Just train your mind to really just be.
And that's why it's important to literally do it every day. So outside of just using every present moment as a meditation, being mindful of what's going on, you're also taking the time with yourself, right? To a few minutes every day. It could be 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 2 minutes, whatever it is. But you're literally training your mind to sit in peace and be in peace and allow everything to come and go. So you're not attaching to anything. And you're literally just existing in this moment as a calm, a very deep calm, but also alert calm. So that's awesome.
Yeah, like the first thing I do in the morning is like I fall out of bed onto the mat. So like there is nothing more important than accomplishing one in the morning, and it starts with meditation.
It starts with meditation. I agree. I'm the same way. I started out and I'm just like, let's do this.
And now I've done it for so long, it's almost like I feel like going into the new year. It's definitely a new type of energy, but I feel like it's almost like my body is like, if I don't do it, it's like, what are you doing? You missed the mat. Like, where are you going? Like, I know you gotta use the bathroom, but you missed the mat.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, that's pretty funny. Oh man, well, this is awesome. So I do want to go ahead and close out, and if there's anything else that you would like to add or share with the listeners before we close out, please do so.
Meditation does matter. Vulnerability is a huge part of that meditation. Treat every day like it's a new day. Accomplish the goals you set a routine. Start to incorporate meditation, eating better, treating your body better. Drink water. And just be. Don't try to do everything. Just be your natural self. Start moving towards that, because it'll make your life better. It'll make you feel happy, and it'll help you find joy. So this is why meditation matters.
And if you don't believe us, try it yourself. You can check out more episodes of Meditation Matters from episode 1 and 2. I really break down what is meditation, why it matters, and I give you some tips on different practices. So check it out. And if you have any questions, as always, send me a message. And you can also probably, if you want to, send him one too. I'm sure Kawan will be welcome to talking to you guys as well. But thank you so much for joining us for our second interview on the power of vulnerability. And I'm so grateful that Kawan was willing and able to sit and share his story with us. So thank you guys so much.
Peace.
All right, namaste. Yes, that was even better than the first time.